everyone, this is Hayley Kamitra bringing you Pokemon Art Academy. We are now into episode 4 of my series, and today I'm going to tackle the Fennekin lesson, and I'm also going to be trying some of the quick sketch options and see how many of those I can get done, because I don't really want to tackle the mini lessons immediately after the main lesson. But we'll start with the main lesson, and we're going to start with Fennekin. So, let's speed up! Today I'm going to talk about how I got into Pokemon, how I got into the Pokemon games and the Pokemon anime, because that's a fairly interesting story, especially in hindsight. Although I was old enough to be interested in video games when Pokemon Red and Pokemon Blue were released, I honestly didn't want to try it. First of all, I don't care much for games that are dependent on how much time you have or how many lives you have. So all of the Mario games that were out there, all the Sonic games, Zelda, a good majority of the Spyro games, I've never even touched any of them. And at the time, I had thought that Pokemon was going to be one of those games that was dependent on how many lives you had. And secondly, there was just so much hype about Pokemon Red and Pokemon Blue and the anime at that time that I was literally sick of hearing anyone even mentioning it. Everyone was talking about it, and there didn't seem to be anything else to talk about. I mean, every person that I would run into, especially in my school, everyone would be like, "Hey, how far did you get in your Pokemon game?" Or, "Hey, have you seen this Pokemon episode yet?" Or, "Hey, take a look at my Pokemon cards." Pokemon, Pokemon, Pokemon. And I was literally to a point where if I heard someone so much as mention it, of course I never said it out loud, but I was thinking to myself, okay, I get it. You love Pokemon. Now can you please shut up? And for quite a while, I was actually opposed to even trying Pokemon. It wasn't until somewhere fairly early in the Gold and Silver era that I actually even tried it. There was one night when I was in my youth group, and it was movie night, and everyone got a say in what they wanted to watch. And the majority of the youth in my group wanted to see Pokemon 2000. Now, of course, I was welcome to leave if I didn't want to watch it, but that particular night, my parents were out running errands, and I didn't want to be home alone, so I stayed and I watched it. And by the end of the movie, I was actually interested. Now, I wasn't in love with it, of course, but I was interested. After that, one of my friends noticed that I was starting to be interested. So, I don't remember if it was for my birthday or for Christmas, but it wasn't long after I saw that movie when my friend got me a special Game Boy Color as a gift. And it was special because it was gray, but it was painted in such a way that it gave off a metallic shine. So sometimes when you hold it under the light, you would think that it looks like silver, or other times when you hold it under the light, you'd think it looks like gold. And on one side of the screen was a Pichu, and on the other side was a Pikachu. And the power light bulb of that Game Boy Color was right where Pikachu's cheek would be. And honestly, I don't know why at the time, but I really loved it. It was special to me. Maybe because one of my closest friends had given that to me. And also, in that same gift was a copy of Pokemon Yellow, the special Pikachu edition. So that was the first Pokemon game that I had ever played, and that was the first time that I actually fell in love with Pokemon. And this might sound a little weird, but I never played any other game on that Game Boy Color except for the Pokemon Yellow. And I never played the Pokemon Yellow on any other Game Boy because at the time I also had a Game Boy Pocket. Um, it was like those two things were inseparable. It was like they were meant to be played exclusively together. And Sarcasm the Sickness might kill me for saying this because I know that she hates Pikachu with a passion, but both that Game Boy Color and that Pokemon Yellow are still a couple of my most precious personal treasures even to this day. And on occasion, I still pick up that Game Boy Color and play that Pokemon Yellow for a while. Um, so how did I turn from anti-Pokemon to pro-Pokemon in such a short time? Well, the most important thing that I discovered was that even when I fail, my character doesn't really die. You know, your Pokemon, you fight, you attack, and you lose HP, and if you lose HP on all of your Pokemon, you black out or you white out, depending on what version you're playing. Some versions say black out, and some versions say white out. It just resets. But the character doesn't really die. And I think that was really the thing that I didn't like about games most of all, those kinds of games that required lives and time, because I don't like that kind of pressure. I don't like having that kind of pressure on me. And that's also the reason why I like to play, like, the Kingdom Hearts series and the Legend of Spyro series, because those are the kinds of games where your character doesn't die or doesn't lose one of those hard to get lives. The game just resets to just before that battle. And plus, there were so many things about Pokemon Yellow in particular that I really loved. So much that I was kind of disappointed that they almost never reused these features. First of all, that Pikachu follows you everywhere. You can talk to it whenever you want to, and its mood will be different, and you can see its face. Like, you can actually see its face almost like it was looking back at you. Like if you go to the Pewter City Pokemon Center and you get that Jigglypuff to sing, you can talk to Pikachu to wake it up, and it'll be like, huh? Or if you try using a Thunderstone on it to evolve it into a Raichu, and then you talk to it, it'll be like, nuh-uh, I'm not having anything to do with that. And best of all in that game was the Surfing Pikachu minigame. I absolutely adored that game, and I've been playing it like repeatedly, and I think my high score on it was somewhere like an 8,200 something. I don't remember the number off the top of my head. I'm sure that I can. I'm sure I can look up that number next time I pick up that Game Boy Color. But it was such an addictive game, that mini game, and I was really disappointed that they didn't bring it back somehow in Fire Red and Leaf Green, or really in any other version either. I mean, a Pikachu that surfs and shows off how cool it can be on those waves. How awesome is that? And it was around that time when I also started watching the Pokemon anime. Now, to be honest, I kind of felt a little different about the anime, especially back in the earlier days, because the anime just felt different. The acting felt different in the earlier series than they do nowadays. I really don't know what it was that I didn't like much about the earlier series, but I do remember that the first episode that I watched and that I really liked, it was the Stun-Spore Detour, and that was because it felt personal. It felt because that was the episode where Ash and Tracy, like, they got hit by a Vileplume Stun-Spore and got sick or something like that, and it was up to Misty to find a cure for that. It felt more personal. It felt like that episode had more connectivity between people and Pokemon rather than it just being about the Pokemon fighting each other. That was the first episode that I actually liked. All of these things put together made Pokemon feel like more than just a game, more than just little creatures fighting each other, and more than just a TV show, and more than just cards. It makes it feel like you can connect with your Pokemon, like they're little pets that you can take care of and raise, and from then on I was hooked. I've played almost every Pokemon game that came out since then. Now I've never played with the Pokemon cards, and to be honest, I don't understand much about Pokemon cards, but I'm not much of a cards person anyway, so that's not going to bother me. And I've played almost every Pokemon game that's been released. That includes a good many of the side games, and actually, I actually like the side games better than the standard games, but I think that's a topic worthy of a future episode. And that will do it for today's episode of Pokemon Art Academy. So in the next episode, I will take care of the mini lessons that can be found inside the Fennekin lesson, which is Minccino, Torchic, and Meowth. I'm really looking forward to those. So that will do it for today. And in the comment section below, tell me how you got into Pokemon. Tell me about what sparked your interest in Pokemon and how you came to love Pokemon. All right, that will be it for today. See you later.